Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 116 of Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic. Ritz and Trix are here,
I'm all.
Wee.
and I potentially owe everyone an apology for the amount of work I made them do.
It wasn't even the amount of work that he made us do. It was just a lot.
Yes, it was a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of listening.
I ever think, Trix, that when you brought Petite League onto this podcast, that you actually just it wasn't you gained Petite League 2 fans. It was you gained Lorenzo a stalker.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yes, we are covering pretty much the history of Petite League. We are doing, of course, the new album Thrill Seekers, but basically everything else we have not covered, including, like the video content they've done, the music videos, and the Throw Television stuff that Lorenzo was involved with, and kind of, the extra Sparkle-esque things, and Tumblr posts, and YouTube stuff, and everything I could find, pretty much. I filtered some of it, but...
Hell yeah.
That's.
I will say as well, despite claiming about the burnout, I do think that's going to be the thing that we cover last on this episode, because I think it actually still is the most important thing that we're covering today.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's always my interest.
Yes. That's being said, that we've got some other stuff to cover that's also pretty interesting.
Indeed.
Or at least in the pop culture this week.
Interesting to other people, perhaps more than us, is Taylor Swift's new album Midnights, the 3 a.m. edition that Ritz and I agreed to listen to. I don't know if Trix ever did.
I listened to it.
Okay, fair enough. And then we go back into kind of fifth wave emo, kind of just experimental music in general, with We Will Look Back and Love You Forever's Yabby Time. And to counteract that, Ritz also picked Ballpark Music's Museum, a personal favorite.
Yeah.
And that's everything, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we just start? Which I know there's someone who joked. There's a Taylor Swift fan here, who heard that I was covering this on there, and they joked and said they will just wait for my opinion on here. So if they've actually gone onto this YouTube video, let's not make them wait anymore, and can we just get it over and done with?
I've started to put chapters in the description so they can just go to the chapter marker, which is about now.
Yeah, fair enough. Trix, do you have an introduction to this album, or can we just get right through it?
I'm a basic bitch and I love Taylor Swift.
I didn't know that about you. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
So we have not covered any of her stuff before.
We have not, and I'm like a very in the closet fan. I will admit, I don't like openly go blasting TSwift, but I will put on her later albums quite a bit.
Actually, no, we did cover their cover by Black Midi, but yes.
Yes, we did. We covered that. I'll put it in this way. Just thoughts I have on all of Taylor Swift's discography, which I haven't actually listened to a full album before this. I've had no reason to. Obviously, when Reputation Era came out, that was just full of singles that shat me to tears. So why the fuck would I go to the album? That's just not my personal taste. I admit being the pretentious hipster in Australia in 2014, early 2015. I was one of the people who hoped, and I still do, hope that BuzzFeed would fuck off and die, because they were constantly trying to get Shake It Off into the Hottest 100 for no other reason than other to, get Taylor Swift into the Hottest 100. Yeah, she really needs that, doesn't she? But I did admittedly hear that the last two albums, especially with Aaron Diesner, who produces on this album as well from The National, being a bit more involved. Whilst I didn't listen to the albums, I did think, okay, it is interesting to see that these type of people are now producing Taylor Swift albums. Obviously, one of the more popular ones, popular songs of, I think it was off Folklore, but it could be the other one, I can't remember exactly, was the Bon Iver collaboration, and I'm a big Bon Iver fan. I actually think his self-titled album is one of my favorite albums of last decade, and people will probably call me a basic bitch for that. Now that I've gone through all of that, and really that's as much as I care about Taylor Swift, I'm not a personal fan. I have no reason to go back to her music. Does some of the stuff shit me to tears? Yeah, most pop music actually shits me to tears, though. So let's not act like this is just a Taylor thing. That being said, this album sucked. It like the production. I know a lot of people were hating on. I think is actually the best part of this album.
Oh yeah, Drake and
I think
is
there's
great.
at least Yeah, I think Jack Antonoff is at least trying to get some sounds in there. Whether or not some people are going as muffled and overused or anything like that, I think it works with the songs well. Aaron Diesner's the songs he produced on here well is fine. I'm not going to be that dickhead that goes and said that Taylor Swift is not a talented musician, because that would just be absolutely shit take from me and just me sounding like an absolutely angry asshole for the sake of it, and I can do that for other albums. But the whole concept of this album, and obviously people have been talking about the marketing for this album. You can debate whether or not the marketing is genius. I think if the album is as popular as it is, it's a little hard to debate that the marketing is genius, because in most countries it's one of the most popular albums at the moment. And
Yes.
ARIA charts in Australia, 13 out of the top 14 on our charts is Midnight. So basically her whole album is the top of the charts. It's impressive, whether or not it'd be backed by a major label or not. That's just impressive.
Yeah.
But the big thing that was in the marketing and stuff like that was this was supposed to be an album written at midnight. It's all supposed to be. I wrote this at 12 o'clock, or it's at this. It's when we're the most creative or something. I think it was the first fucking a post that was put out there. It was on top of Reddit as well, so you could tell from the start here that they were really pushing the PR in it, which, you got to do that for music. There's no reason to ever actually hate musicians for that. I think there's a good reason to hate. Same with Adele on here, how there's so much priority for the vinyl on this, which was obviously the 4 different fucking variants to build a fucking clock on the back of it. So you get everybody buying
Jesus
4
Christ.
different types of vinyl. Yeah, this shit's going to absolutely clog op shops in 3 years. I guarantee it. But that is neither here nor there. That is, even good albums clog op shops. I mean, you will see Gorillaz debut there all the time, because everybody... Fantano put it the best. Everybody thought the album would sound like Clint Eastwood, and it didn't. So they all got rid of the album because they didn't actually like it past one song.
Were there some stats I found real quick?
Go ahead.
It is the largest seller, like that has the most vinyl sales of any album in the U.S. in the 21st century, actually dating back to 1991.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I can believe that.
It is our fastest selling album since Reputation. It has the best selling album of 2022 in one day.
Yeah.
And has the most single day streams for an album on Spotify.
Which, thankfully, by waiting 3 days to listen to this, I do not contribute to.
Yes.
But you see some people, it's with being a fan. This is not actually a genuine criticism of people, but I will still mock people for liking things, because I was mocked for liking things back then, and it's time for my revenge. God damn it. And people will be listening to this album 200 times in a week. Some people were listening practically the whole of the day when it came out, which, okie dokie, I thought there was other albums to come listen to. You obviously had the big three about...
They just want to really feel like a sexy baby on a hill.
Yeah. There was also the big 3 albums. There was also the big 3 albums that came out on this day as well, so it's not like it's not like it wasn't against any competition. There was also the Carly Rae Jepsen album that came out on the same day, and the Arctic Monkeys album, which this is actually the first Arctic Monkeys album to not get #1 in the UK, I believe, at the moment, because of the Taylor Swift record.
Also,
Meghan Trainor was also... I gotta say, Meghan Trainor was also liking to act like she was a part of the top in here, but I don't even know what the title of that album is. That one didn't succeed so well.
Also, new album from Tegan and Sarah, and one from Petite League.
Biggest album of them all.
But the whole concept, and this is the biggest draw, and this is the thing that I focused on the most when I gave this album to listen, and I gave this album the full listen with a full open mind and a full kind of like the most attention I've probably given an album on its first listen in a while. And it's the lyrics. The lyrics are the main draw of this album, because the production, whilst it's still fine, is subtle, because the whole thing that you're supposed to be focusing on is what Taylor is saying. And what she is saying is just straight up pretentious bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, this does not act also like this is the worst album of the year. Motionless in White still gets that by a long shot. But that being said, there is one song off this album which I think is as bad as the worst song off the Motionless in White album, and that's fucking vigilante shit. Because I said this to her the second I'd finished listening to that song, I went to a friend and I just messaged, if I had wrote this song at midnight, the second I woke up and saw that, I would decide to go to bed at an earlier time. And I still believe that. It's, what the fuck is she saying? It actually just boggles me. Someone wrote this and said, yeah, this sounds cool. It's...
So I come from a similar thing that you do in that I've never really listened to a Taylor Swift album or really had an interest in doing so before this. So I'm grateful that we had this opportunity to give it a shot. And unlike you, I also went in open-minded. And for me, I think it started off strong enough. I think Lavender Haze is a great opener, a great marker for the kind of sound that, based on the marketing that they wanted. Lavender Haze is a really nice, dark synth pop type beat that you can drive to at midnight and feel cool doing. There's some really nice hooks and some just really nice vocal effects in that I really dig. If the rest of the album was like that, that'd be great. But I feel like the whole midnight dark pop, or we're doing a lot of synth because that's midnight and that's cool, that really fizzles out after a while. Yes, there's still some...
practically fizzles out after Lavender Haze, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Maroon has a little bit of it, but once we get to Antihero has some more darker instrumentation than something like Shake It Off or Blank Space, I guess. But
yeah,
it was kind of disappointing having that oh yeah, this is just a marketing gimmick, because this is not what this album really truly is. And if it was like that, I would like it a lot more. But Maroon is I think in talking to your pretentiousness, Maroon being a song, a title that's a more dark and mature red, because I think that's what they're going for there.
Mm-hmm.
Or it just reminded me of the Whitest Kids You Know sketch.
I think, yeah, but then you have Snow on the Beach, which is touted for its Lana Del Rey collaboration, but
Lana, you're muted.
She's barely in it. It's Lana Del Rey in this song is listening to Janelle Monáe in the Fun song We Are Young.
Basically.
Barely in it. Yes, you can kind of pick the person out there, but it's almost worth not even calling it a feature.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I saw a great comment where someone says that Taylor's actually just a champion of female empowerment because she's making sure women are getting paid more for less work.
I mean, if that's her intention, great. I just think Lana Del Rey would actually kill on a Taylor Swift album if given the shot.
Absolutely. And I'm personally, Lana Del Rey's leagues above it. I don't think I'm the biggest Lana Del Rey fan out there, but when I compare it to this album, I'm okay, well, I mean, Lana Del Rey does angst a lot better than Taylor Swift does.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this album really badly wants to be edgy, but you can't actually be too edgy. That would annihilate people.
Hey, she does say shit and fuck and shit like that. I do give her props for at least, swearing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many. Granted, yeah, you are correct in a way in which actually isn't the most financially successful thing to do, is to actually swear in a song, especially in American radio. They hate that. Granted, we're not too bad
doing that. I thought she still wasn't doing that.
We're not great for that either outside of Triple J. I think that's still the only mainstream radio that will allow swearing on it. But that being said, you look back at all the kind of edgy moments that we've had in pop, and Taylor's done it before with Reputation. Look What You Made Me Do was basically supposed to be the start of her new angst edgy pop era, and turns out we didn't want that in 2017, and it wasn't because we weren't ready for edge, because Billie Eilish was coming out in 2017 as well, so
yeah,
we were 100% ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just shit. And I don't mind, actually, if you want to try go back into it and try it again. But it feels like they're making the same issues. I mean, it's not as bad. I think the stuff that I was hearing off Reputation, even though I haven't listened to the full album, I still heard enough of the songs that come off there, I still think that stuff was worse. So, yeah, there have been improvements. And it's probably to come with the producers on this as well.
Yeah.
But it's we had a bit more success coming in from this. even though I haven't really gone into those albums either, so I can't say as a full album what is truly better or not. I'm not going to act like it. The songs that I had been hearing that have been playing over the radio and stuff in the last one seem to be a better direction than going into this. So I don't know why you de-evolve, basically.
I do want to get Trix's opinion on this as the Taylor Swift fan of the podcast. But the one thing I do want to say is that I think Vigilante Shit's one of the few songs in this album that I think stand out that are okay enough to listen to. Like, I think songs like Question are much more just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Or like Sweet Nothing is such a nothing song. Like, it's nice enough when it's on, but I have no memory of what that song is, you know? Vigilante Shit, as I at least remember being like a decently simple, you know, whatever kind of beat that I'm like, okay, I could tolerate. This is fine.
Yeah.
Please.
My defense of this album and just kind of Taylor Swift in general is that it's not music made for critical listening. Like, it's made for people who want to pretend to kind of critically listen to it. So it's like an easy thing to just kind of throw on in the background. Like, it's like the best way for me to describe it would be like high-end grocery store soundtrack. Like not like sort of like a Trader Joe's, Wegmans sort of deal, not necessarily more your lower end supermarkets. You know what I mean? Like the kind of supermarket that you get somehow roped into buying $7 pumpkin spice pad thai.
Okay.
Who buys pumpkin spice pad thai? Just buy regular pad thai.
Well, I mean, the biggest trend is like pumpkin spice Asian food, because there's pumpkin spice instant ramen, there's pumpkin spice sort of fucking yeah.
You ever wonder why many countries go to America and tell them to fuck themselves?
Yeah,
pumpkin spice pad thai. That's 100% a reason.
And like pumpkin spice pad thai isn't a real thing yet. But I just wanted to pull something out of my ass to kind of show the ridiculousness of these supermarkets. I say this as a Wegmans fan.
But this is the kind of stuff you would expect to hear on the radio playing at that stuff. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, like it's not critical listening. It's something you can throw on in the background and be like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
See, I can accept that. But in my heart of hearts, I do know at some point I will encounter somebody who wants to collaborate on some kind of like artistic project, and they're gonna be like, so I was listening to the song Vigilante Shit the other night by Taylor Swift. I don't know if you've heard it. And I was just so inspired to make this new story I wrote, and I think we should do something with it. Because there are those people that they're so mainstream in taste that to them that is critical thinking. To them that is like their bouncing off point for creative endeavors. And like that's fine, but as a hipster, I guess it's just kind of like that's it. Oh, are you sure?
Yeah, that's it. It's like saying you're really into anime and then just only having watched Dragon Ball Z
or Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like it's like I could show you some Mars Volta or something. I can really get you some thinking
we can get
stuff.
We can get you some weird shit. Like if you like this, you'd like this, and like yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I understand the whole don't critically listen to it and like just enjoy it for what it is. I get that. I just know
we're a music podcast though. Why are we going to just listen to it and say, "Oh, it's good in the background"? And it's like that's usually when I say it's good in the background. That's just kind of me doing a little insult.
Well, it's good in the background as a compliment.
You've used it as a compliment before, Ritz.
Yeah, I've done this both.
You said that for Japanese breakfast.
Yeah.
What
was that Japanese wallpaper?
Fuck.
It was Japanese house.
I'm turning Japanese by the vapors.
Yeah.
You ever wonder why? But like I get the kind of take of, especially with people who aren't really like listening to music critically, but like to think that they are. This is obviously a lot of pop heads are always known for going onto social media sites and stuff like that, doing these embellishing stories about how big they are into a certain artist or anything like that. It's naive to think it's just pop heads as well, but they're the ones that are a bit more known for it. Obviously elitism comes in every single fucking scene. I mean, never try and talk to a metalhead about an artist they don't like. Ooh,
don't try not to get into. If you're another metalhead, do not talk about subgenres.
Although I still want to say one of my favorite moments, just of like being out with people, was when I went to the Spacey Jane concert, and someone that we went to was a massive Tool fan, and someone else just did not know about Tool. And when he found out about that, you actually see the stereotype of the white guy telling a girl about Tool, and I don't even feel bad for him because like he was just really happy to talk about Tool, but it was like he went on like a 15-minute rant about Tool.
Yeah, I believe it.
That is every Tool fan I've encountered.
But at least they have it. I don't know. I don't want to call it more legitimate, right? But I feel like with metal fans, they have at least had the consciousness to decide that yes, this is the subgenre of music that I like. This is an alternative genre, and it doesn't get as much radio play. It is something I have sought out and decided that I liked.
Yeah,
Pop is just on the radio. Pop is everywhere. Antihero is probably the biggest fucking single right now. I don't know.
Metal is becoming more mainstream and more pop.
So when someone tells me about how much they love Taylor Swift and her music and how they're so inspired they are by the songs that she's made, it's like, I understand that, that's great, but have you listened to anything on your own? Have you gone beyond Top 40's radio? You know, if you have and you decide that, you know, she's for you, great, fantastic, I support that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I want to get into, I'll let you finish in a second as well there. I want to get into the 3 a.m. Tracks on this album as well, because I think they're genuinely more interesting than the actual album itself, in a different way. I don't think they still save the album, but I think they're a bit more interesting. But you did mention about how you thought Vigilante shit was one of the better moments on here, and I feel like I have to kind of justify how bad the lyrics are.
Please do.
And the only way I can do that is by actually reading out the lyrics.
Okay. Oh boy. These are always fun.
Draw the cat eye sharp enough to kill a man. You did some bad things, but I'm the worst of them. Sometimes I wonder which one will be your last lie. They say looks can kill, and I might try. I don't dress for women. I don't dress for men. Lately, I've been dressing for revenge. I don't start it, but I can tell you how it ends. Don't get sad. Get even.
Yeah.
Speechless, I can tell.
I feel like
I'm waiting for your critical analysis here.
I feel like you would appreciate the lyrics if they were coming from some other different band. Like if Jeff Mangum had penned those, I think you'd be into them. I can't explain it.
I have no big problem with that specific part.
No.
Like it's a more minimal instrumentation that she's trying to use it to sound cool, and I don't know if sexy is the right word, but like cool and hip, and like I'm a badass motherfucker, I'm gonna kill somebody maybe.
Yeah, a little bit sexy.
Yeah, and like I'm okay with that. That was, again, I think Question has the more weird lyrics, or of course the anti-hero passage I've already talked about.
Yeah, where everyone's going, every fucking Taylor Swift fan's going like, "Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me." It's like, God, oh God.
Can I ask you a question? Did you ever have someone kiss you in a crowded room and every single one of your friends was making fun of you, but 15 seconds later they were clapping too? Then what did you do?
So, Billy, you ever been inside a Turkish prison? You like movies about gladiators?
You ever seen a grown man naked?
That's how I feel about that one. It actually, Christians, like, don't get me wrong, I just think vigilante shit is the worst, but it doesn't mean I think everything else is good. Christians, it sounds like a goddamn joke every fucking line.
Sometimes I feel everybody is a sexy baby, and I'm a monster on the hill, too big to hang out, slowly lurching toward your favorite city.
That's just Taylor getting ahead of the allegations in a couple of years.
Oh God.
I actually, that song I can't really do.
No, Trix, I want to cover.
Oh God damn it.
Like I can't tell you how many like fucking TikTok or Instagram videos I've seen already that do like fucking it's me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me shit.
Yeah.
Like, people do not rest. People just make content based on song that comes out from popular artists because maybe they like it, but also popular artist song will get attention.
Yep.
And, now, I want to say as well, there was one song on here which, whilst I'm still not a fan of, I think if there is trying to do the bad bitch vibe, actually, or any of that, kind of like, this is who I am, or like, I'm popular, I've done all this shit. I don't know what the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Bejeweled. Bejeweled is the one with the whole Bejeweled. It's like Bejeweled when I come into the room or something. I can't remember the full lyrics. I can make the whole place shimmer, kind of thing like that. I think that's one of the few times on here where it's like, okay, look, I'm not really into this. This is not my thing. I don't even think the lyrics are impressive in any way, kind of on there as well, which is the main things that I'm kind of focusing on this record. You know, there's always one thing that I'll focus more on. But I think it's like, okay, this is still a catchy pop song, though. I think this one actually kind of succeeds in what it's trying to do.
But it's also
that is the biggest compliment I will give this album.
But something like Bejeweled is also fully just not what this album was about. This is not a 3 a.m. or midnight song. This is just your next pop hit after blank space or whatever.
Oh no, I full fucking agree.
And that's the disappointing part. That's why I don't like Bejeweled as much. That's why I more gravitate to a song like Mastermind, where I feel like, you know, the lyrics on there are also questionable, but I at least dig what the vibe is of that song and kind of what her vocal range is doing with that song.
No, there's another fucking thing I saw. I can't remember who it was. It might have been like Cardi B or something like that. And they're talking about how they're a fan of Karma, and some news site read it as, yeah, they rate the new Taylor Swift song Karma, and then she replied, no, I just meant Karma in general.
Because everyone has to have an opinion on TSwift as soon as it comes out.
Pretty much.
But going into the Desner stuff on the 3 a.m. edition, I thought some of the songs were more interesting. I think, you know, that's where she gets more into like personal stuff about like religion and whatever Bigger Than the Whole Sky is about. I feel like there's been people talking about what it means, and it could be anything from abortion to a love to something, or maybe a miscarriage even, who knows.
But even though it was one of the Jack Antonoff ones as well, and even though it's a bit predictable what it would sound like with the title, I still thought Glitch was at least one of the more interesting sounding ones.
Yeah.
On the 3 a.m. as well. I thought that was, I mean, I thought the 3 a.m. tracks it probably better fit on the album than the actual album itself did.
I think it was Would It, Could It, Should Have that also talks about like her religious identity and kind of how she lost something in like an encounter when she was like 19 or something. So at least, again, that stuff I find is more interesting because it's more autobiographical perhaps, but I don't know. The only
I feel like we could have had like if we had like a personal diary or something like that was happening in this album, which maybe the 3 a.m. tracks are going more into, or something that felt like it was actually writing down something that was at me. Like you're pretty much spot on at the start of this little spiel that we've all gone into, where it felt like the Midnights is really just a marketing thing, and it's like what really actually ties us into being a midnight album. And we didn't get that. And we could have had, like, if it was someone who was writing stuff like a diary in Midnights or something like that, this could be a cooler concept album or something like that. But instead, we didn't get a concept album here. We just got a bunch of marketing and then a pretty, like, I'm not going to say it's uninspired or it's unoriginal or it's pretentious, or all those words that I pretty much already said earlier. But we could have had so much more. There is quite a lot of financial backing into Taylor Swift's works because you get a lot out of it, and even with this, you've gotten a lot out of it. So there's probably not going to be much more financial incentive to change that for a bit. That would be great. But we had well-known producers on it. I mean, Jack Antonoff produced Norman fucking Rockwell, which was seen as Lana's best album to date. Obviously, Melodrama as well, which is a lot of Lorde fans' favorite album. Even though I wasn't personally a Melodrama fan, I still thought Pure Heroin was better. But that's neither here nor there. And Aaron Diesner again from The National. I know those are the two big ones on here. Taylor Swift's got talent. I'm not going to deny that shit. But it feels like this all could have just been better utilized, and we could have I don't think there was going to be a world, maybe Trix is right, in which if it was done by some other artist, I would have liked it more. Maybe there is some anti-Taylor bias that I have in here. I'm not going to act like that can't exist. But I still feel like when we did the Lady Gaga album a couple of years ago, and I still didn't come out of that really liking it, at least there were moments in that I actually genuinely enjoyed. Like, I still think Alice was a really good song.
Yeah. It's a pretty good song. It's also very like 90s inspired.
Yeah. But I don't know. we've managed to kind of talk about an album that I think has really got nothing to it.
Yeah.
For around 30 minutes, it feels like.
But I want Trix to have the last word here as the person who introduced it and is the fan.
Honestly, using fan is a bit of a stretch. I just enjoy listening to Taylor Swift, and this is another one of those albums that I'll just put on when I want to listen to nothing but something at the same time.
So it's not your favorite album of the year?
It is definitely not my favorite album of the year.
Okay.
No, it's Motionless in White.
Yes, indeed it is.
So, Trix, I want to hear your favorites and least favorites first then.
Hold up. Fucking, whatchamacallit? Track list. That's the word I'm looking for. I thought Labyrinth and Karma were pretty cool. I don't really have a favorite or a least favorite, I'm going to be honest. It's just kind of all medium for me. Not quite a blender, but like...
Mid.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps talking about Labyrinth, and I don't see it. I do not think that song is special.
I don't think it's... I'll say my favorites when I say it. I don't think Labyrinth is special. I think it's just one of the ones that don't ship me tears. Favorites of the 3 a.m. is Glitch, probably, and I think Bejeweled's catchy enough to be one of the better ones of here, even if favorites in here is still kind of a stretch. And then least favorite, Vigilante shit. I don't want to think about it anymore.
Fair enough.
Get out of my head.
My favorites include Lavender Haze, Vigilante Shit, Mastermind, and probably like Bigger Than the Whole Sky, maybe something like that. My least favorites are probably like Question, Labyrinth, Sweet Nothing has just a nothing song really, and then like Dear Reader I felt like was just like whatever.
Well, it's time to go with the 2022 album, which I thought better than this, and that might be the hottest take that I probably have in a while. We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever's Yabby Time. I found this after having found Bigger Boot and looking through Bigger Boot's Twitter, and I posted, retweeted, a post from We Will Look Back and Love You Forever, where they were comparing themselves to the Bigger Boot album. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to give this a listen. And I don't know if it's their intention or not. I haven't even talked to the people, even though they're on the Bigger Boot Discord, which I never left. So maybe I should have just messaged them and see what the fuck they were on about. But I personally described this album as shit post emo, and I don't know if there's a better description. So I'm gonna ask you two a very important question. At what point did you want to shut off this album, and was it the Pickle Rick sample?
Gonna be honest, no.
Fair enough.
There wasn't. The samples I kind of just accepted.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. I didn't hate this album.
I didn't hate it. I think it's better than Lobster Fight.
I would like to say We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever literally just followed us back on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Before we posted the episode, baby.
Yeah.
New record. So
maybe they're aware of us. Maybe they know.
Oh yeah, it's been posted in our episodes with our Bigger Boot's been posted in the Discord. So
and we were also following them, and I have a feeling they just follow back everybody they follow.
I followed them over the week just because I was doing the research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and like I think the thing to keep in mind is like these are like 17-year-olds. These are people who are just doing pop and not pop, but like music. And kind of figuring it out. Like I think the Bandcamp's pretty clear about like, yeah, we don't know how to make this, and we like cartoons, so here you go.
Yep. No, this generally just like listens like an album in which they just don't care, but they're having fun.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's not like there isn't actually some like I call this shitpost emo, but it doesn't mean shitpost has to mean that it's bad. I mean, sometimes it's just pretty fucking funny. Like, in I Am Who I Am, Simon, I can't give you more than that. The first fucking time I listened to that, I actually broke down laughing when the chiptune Never Meant came in. I just full on wasn't expecting it. And it came in, and what was the fucking vocal sample over that? Something even fucking stupider. Was it Peanut Butter Jelly Time?
No, I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I gotta go quickly. Go back into what it was.
I honestly remember the music off of this one probably the least of anything this week.
Yeah.
Because what I remember more is like the vibe and like what they're going for. The music itself is pretty, it's samples, it's guitar bits, it's some like mellotron or something. It's a banjolele, Like the thing they're going for, like the weird shit with all the random letters arranged together for song titles, like TCRODAPOSCOMITCBOIDCMIACBFCFIRCDGAI.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you even though you're halfway in there. You're halfway. You're only halfway. I'm gonna stop you.
Coming after Bacon Pancakes, which is their most popular song on Spotify right now, is
which is their shortest, which is 50 seconds. And I do think generally one of the funnest things about this moment as well is like it's kind of like finding all the samples that they're using in here and all the like little the cartoons that they're using it from. Like I think it's in IGWSTAMI where they use the Midnight Gospel sample with the We Cry, which is talking about that's the part pretty much where the guy's interviewing his own mum who's suffering from terminal cancer.
Oh, that's what that's from. Okay, because I liked that. I wasn't sure what that was.
You need to get stoned and watch Midnight Gospel.
Yeah, that's Midnight Gospel's the Pendleton Ward one, where it's an actual like podcast that was done, and then Pendleton Ward's like, I'm gonna animate that shit in this kind of whole like sci-fi.
Duncan Trussell.
Yeah, the first episode is literally he goes into this world and he interviews the president of this country while the zombie apocalypse is happening, and they're just not even talking about the zombies; they're just talking about weed.
My favorite episode is the one with Caitlin Doty, where they're just talking about death.
Yeah, isn't that the We Cry one?
No, that one's the one with his mom.
Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, my bad. And then obviously, we talked about this Rick and Morty sample in here. There's
it's the entire Pickle Rick scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the Adventure Time one with Bacon Pancakes. I'm pretty sure they got the regular show one with Benson screaming out about how actions have consequences in there as well. It's like, you're going in there, you're just remembering every fucking sample that's going into, and that's after a while, like you're all right. You do accept the samples because the samples are the things that you're listening to. It's like you're listening to a YouTube compilation of cartoons, basically.
Like a
remix, it has this
remix compilation with like it's been directed in a way.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. When I say I enjoy this more than Midnight's, which I unironically do, I don't think this is like a groundbreaking album in any way. But I think it's genuinely funny. Like when you know what you're listening to and how they're using it and how they're just fucking it up in this kind of purposeful way. And by fucking up, I don't mean like they're just like, it's not like they're making some edgy jokes or anything with it. But they're basically, you know how like I'm grabbing samples from you all the time and and putting that over shit. It's kind of like that, but done by people who know more what they're doing.
That's probably arguable, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they necessarily know more than you about that. I think they just are doing it as well.
Yeah, well, maybe they know it the exact same way. I don't know the people, but it's fun.
Sholto and
this
Jude.
Album's fun.
It's a duo, Sholto and Jude.
It's fun. I Pigeon Mosh Pit with the screaming out of Pigeon Mosh Pit in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the whole nuclear thing at the end of I Am Who I Am, Simon. That's always a great big downer to put on something in a fun way. Get ready to die, everybody.
What did they write as the lyrics again for I Am Who I Am, Simon?
I'm not going to even bother. I'm so sorry.
That's not Dominic responding. That's actually what they've written.
Dude, that's the Bandcamp lyrics. I'm not even going to bother. I'm so sorry. Meanwhile, Pigeon Mosh Pit has lyrics.
Yeah.
And I'm a thirsty dog drowning in a well, and soon they'll find my bloated corpse, and children will cry, their tears run dry, and time will pass, my body soon cast.
Damn. It's a fun little experience. My favorite review I've seen of this as well was someone said that this shit is fire when it's on mute.
Yeah.
I appreciate that this exists, and I would love to see what else they do, because they've released a couple singles and things since then.
Yeah, they put out Dis/Co recently as a single. That was that was the one I saw that they posted in the general chat on the Discord. So there was self promotion in general chat. So they should be banned for that.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Calling out Discord drama. Sholto, Jude, we're on to you.
I mean, they've practically just started releasing stuff and stuff as well. Like their first release, according to Spotify, is a demo of "I Am Who I Am, Simon," and that's 2022. So this is a pretty relatively new. I know there's like other projects that have done stuff like that, so it's probably not like their first year of putting out music, but this project itself is pretty new, and we could see if they evolve into a different type of way. Like, do they continue on with the shitpost? Do they start to try and get a bit more serious? We'll find out with it. Is this a band that's got a lot of potential? Yeah.
I think they
maybe
do.
It's a one-time thing. Maybe it's not. It depends where they go. I don't know.
They do have other releases. Like they have a 2-track thing. It's March Now. They did in 48 hours. And then they did Funeral Blues by W.H. Auden as like a single track. It's like just a poem with music over it. And I guess it says this is a poem by W.H. Auden combined with some guitar with lots of fillers, and Jude's reading it and Sholto screaming it. So that's probably fun. Also kind of a shit post, I would imagine. But this reminds me of Postcard Nowhere a little bit in that way.
I was going to say one thing about this record as well is that it is incredibly lo-fi.
Yes.
There's like no production value.
Yeah, the mixing is predictably not the best, but it's fine.
I think they use it to their advantage enough.
If I have to adjust my settings every time I want to listen to Walking King of Walls off Bigger Boot stuff, then it's fine.
I got nothing else to say about this album. It's a very short, kind of like easy to explain, but you also kind of still have to listen into it if you really want to say that you like all types of music. Yeah,
and like this is where Gen Z and fifth wave emo kind of intersect now.
Basically.
Yeah.
We're getting started on the sixth wave while it's still being born.
God.
Favorites, I Am Who I Am, Simon. Can't give you more than that. It's just fucking funny, that song. Pigeon Mosh Pit as well is one of my favorites. Least favorite, probably extremely loud fart sound effect followed by Sholto reading his entire biology text.
I will agree with I Am Who I Am, Simon. My least favorite, I Found a Body at Penn Island. Mega Pancakes is neither here nor there, I guess.
Hold up. I have to look through the lyrics.
This album did teach me what a yabby is. I do appreciate it for that. I thought a yabby was a random fucking thing, but no, it's not.
Yabby Time.
If anyone wants to start a shrimp farming rig with me, just hit me up. It is one of my favorites, as is if I could still see your footsteps, I'd follow them. No least favorites.
Yeah, that has like potentially like an alternative version, I think, on YouTube. There's something called like Riley's version. I have no idea if that's really different. I didn't listen to it, but hey, it's fun.
Yeah. Anyway.
Didn't you show me a thing from this because it had like the Sonic fan dub quote in it or something like that? Or was that something else?
I cannot remember. I don't think this had like, if you're talking about the Snap Cube stuff, I don't think it's
I don't think it's a sample on here, but I thought it was sampled in something else, but maybe I'm just misremembering what you showed me.
Either that, or
I do remember you linking something like that. I'm scrolling up.
Yeah, it was around the time that I think the new Snap Cube came out, maybe, but I don't remember.
Whilst we go search for that, are we ready to talk about the actual good album I picked this week?
Ballpark music.
Ballpark music. Now you seem to be quite enjoying the album during the week, Dominic, from what I saw over our messages. But I got pretty much silence from Trix here. And before I get her take, I just want to point out that yes, this is my favorite Ballpark music record. Coming Down was the first ever Ballpark music song I heard. I heard it on the radio. Didn't actually realize it was Ballpark music for a while though, until I properly got into them around 2014. what else is there to this? It's their sophomore record after their first album, Happiness in Surrounding Suburbs, came out the year prior, which actually had a bit of success with songs like It's Nice to Be Alive, which have since been used in movies, but this one didn't really have any of the movie success on it. It was just kind of popular in the Triple J audience. Yeah, not much to say else other than that. Trix?
I really
You really what?
The suspense is
enjoyed Museum. I really enjoyed Museum.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, Fence Sitter is such a good starter.
Fence Sitter is one of their best opens, full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fence Sitter is a fucking great tune.
There's, I mean, if we take a look at all the openers that we've done this year, Fence Sitter would 100% be in the top 5.
Yeah.
And that's just about even looking at what we've done this year. It's It was unfortunately the only song that they did live from Museum when I went to see them earlier this year. I was hoping for a bit more from Museum, but you get what you get. But they still play it live because I think they recognize it's probably one of their more catchier tunes on here as well. That being said, it's not all just kind of like this kind of catchy art poppy alternative things that are on this record as well. I think there's actually some kind of more somber moments on here, or kind of very like chill moments that still stand out. I mean, Coming Down is one of my favorite ballpark music songs outside of just the nostalgia on it as well. I think it's just a very lovely track to listen to. Same with songs like Harder of Lame Ducks. And then even the first half of the closer of What's on Your Mind as well is actually pretty like relaxing on here. And then you have songs like Fence Sitter or Pot of Gold or Great Display of Patience on here, which are kind of more like loud and like in your, it not really in your face, I guess, but like comparing to the other side of it, I guess.
There's one song in here, I can't remember which one it is right now, that sounds like the opening of the new Ballpark Music album. Oh, Sunscreen?
Sunscreen's not the opener. Sunscreen's
the single.
Manny was the opener. But,
the big single, yeah. There's one song that sounds like the opening of Sunscreen. I can't remember which one it is. It has like where it kind of like starts up.
Bad Taste. I reckon it's probably Bad Taste Blues.
Part 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. That was really nice to hear because it made me think of the other song. The whole it's a pretty solid album overall. I think the first half is probably the better half.
I don't think there's like one half that's stronger than the other, to be honest.
High Court through Cost of Lifestyle I don't remember as much, but Great Display of Patience, Cry with One Eye, all the sounds just sound really nice when I focus on them. And kind of like, because my focus comes in and out as I'm driving, like, oh yeah, this one's nice.
There's also like a lot of build up there as it happens in songs in this album as well, which I think they actually go to satisfying payoffs, like High Court as well. I reckon like that one's very kind of soft, but that one builds up and gets louder, but it kind of does it in this very nice natural way that it doesn't feel like it was like forced in there.
Mm-hmm. Trix, what else did you like?
Yeah. The closer, What's on My Mind, was phenomenal.
What's on Your Mind? Yeah, that one's just that's one of personally one of Ballpark's best songs.
Yeah, like the whole back half of the album is fucking great.
I think that speaks to how good it is. If I say the first half is great and you say the second half is great.
Yeah.
I still want to do
album good.
Yeah, I want to do like a playlist of like songs with questions like what's on your mind, and then like the Pixie songs Where Is My Mind, that kind of shit. I think that'd be funny.
Joe P.
The Who. Alright, so we got the What's on Your Mind, Where Is My Mind. We just need the Who and the When.
Actually, the thing I want to do more than that is constructing a car purely by band names. Because you got like Car Seat Headrest, Dashboard Confessional. If you can build an entire car, you're golden.
There's
probably
got to be a
bands
band called Muffler.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's like Monkey Steals the Wheel or something is the actual band name. I think that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So we just need 3 more of them, and probably another one for a spare tire. There's probably a band called Spare Tire.
and also, I'm looking that up right now, and also get one for the steering wheel.
Very tiny.
They're non-specific wheels.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just taking a look at what else here we can go to help build this car. Obviously, we'll probably have something for the engine.
If it could be songs, we could use the Jeff Mangum single, but we want a band. I want a band.
We want band. Yeah, we want bands here. Mm.
Well, I mean, there is Motorhead.
That will be useful.
Yeah.
There are a couple bands called Engine.
Yeah, I would assume so. Have we got one just called Suspension?
Probably.
There's a band from Canada called Exhaust.
There are a couple bands called Suspension.
If we could have used songs, we could have used Booster Seat and have a place to sit.
So there's got to be a band called Hood.
I got Hoodlum Shouts. That's the closest one I know
of. Hood Brat, Hoods.
God, this is actually this is more interesting than anything else we covered this week.
It is.
Cog. We can start turning some gears.
Transmissions.
There you go.
That transmission sounds like knowing the type of music here, and I have a feeling that means a different thing.
There's a couple bands called Transmission.
Fair enough, then. Come on, we gotta have some more good ones.
There's a band called Driver.
Is there one called Windshield? Oh my God, there's a band called Windshield.
There's a band called Wiper. Or Wipers.
Oh. Is there anyone that's called The Boot? Or The Trunk?
Bigger Boot.
Yeah, okay, that'll work.
There's a band called Moonroof.
What were we talking about?
Ballparks Museum.
That's right. Yeah, so what's the best way of kind of going into this? I guess I can do a quick little start to finish on here and probably wrap it up in 30 seconds, showing us how fast I speed through all these things. So obviously we talked about Fence Sitter, which is kind of like from the start, it kind of gets going in with the piano, and then like that kind of riff just kind of continues on there, and it's just a really fucking catchy song, and it's got this kind of like very metaphorical lyrics that are happening throughout the whole time. Like I think in the chorus it's she looks you in the eye and she kisses with the rubber fist and it feels good, which has always just been a standout lyric of this album in general. Surrender, which is actually one of the biggest songs on here. I think it was a single, if I'm correct.
Why is it not called Self Surrender? I don't get it.
It's just So Surrender, I'm pretty sure is the lyrics.
Oh, I heard Self Surrender.
No, it's So Surrender, just Surrender, I'm pretty sure. No, it's So Surrender, sorry, I don't know why I said just. Surrender is very kind of more like acoustic kind of build up in this it's got these like near ethereal moments that happen like in the bridge there, where it just kind of very slows down and kind of has a little bit of ambience nearly happening in it, even though it hasn't really like changed what the song's doing. It just does it kind of naturally. So when you actually, I've never really actually kind of like sat down and just explained this album, because it has all these kind of little changes that happen in the album that you don't really actually think about, because they just happen so naturally that you think it's just like, oh, you're a fucking idiot for not understanding. Mm-hmm. And like Surrender is a good moment of that. And I like when the lyrics in it kind of stand out as well. That him just kind of like dreaming about this girl that he wants to be with, and it's literally just kind of describing that the clothes that she's wearing. So it's like it's weird because there's no actual description of the person themselves there. It's all just kind of like this. Like you could actually picture a person in there, but there's no actual physical description of them. And I've never actually really kind of realized that until now, just talking.
Yeah, that is interesting. I do like that.
And then Coming Down, that was the song in which when I first heard it, I didn't realize what coming down meant, so I thought he was just walking down the stairs. I was a fucking idiot as a kid, wasn't I? But yeah, that's.
I'm not gonna say that. I don't want to bully a child.
But yeah, Coming Down is exactly what you think it is. It's a song about coming down from drugs. The first couple opening lyrics there, the Sefsha in the aisle, can't remember the next thing that. And they're high off PCP and something. I can't remember the full fucking lyrics off the top of my head. But yeah, it practically like talks it basically just talks about like hard drug users from the start in there. The closing line, you got a soft spot for hard stuff as well, I think is actually, especially for 2012 as well, which, you know, is it the most groundbreaking lyric you ever heard? No, but I think it's a good fucking line to end off. Bad Taste Blues as well. We got the two-parter actually with Bad Taste Blues on here. And then when we cover the self-titled ballpark music as well, we get the third part of Bad Taste Blues. I don't know why they've got two parts of Bad Taste Blues. Am I complaining? No.
It kind of changes between parts, but it still sounds like the same song, kind of.
Yeah. But Bad Taste Blues part 3 doesn't even sound like Bad Taste Blues. This is kind of like coming back onto it, but yeah, they're all good songs. Cry with One Eye, which is probably one of like the simplest songs instrumentally on here as well. Which is one of the few moments on here as well where we just get that kind of like when you were talking about the TSwift one. It's like, oh, she's swearing, and then just here at the end of it goes, "I've got no heart, I've got no heart, I've got no fucking heart." And that was one of the times it's like, okay, they just swore, you know, they can be bad bitches too, Dominic.
Hell yeah, they can.
Hell yeah. Great display of patience. That's basically Tame Impala's The Less I Know the Better's lyrics before Tame Impala did that song.
I think Great Display of Patience is probably the most underrated song on the album.
Because I waited a long time, waited a long time, waited a long time, and you're mine. I'll get into the whole song. I'm like running out of saliva here, so someone else want to take off the chops for me while I go get some more water.
The thing I will say is that this album feels still modern to me. Like, if you told me this was a new album or came out like a couple years ago, I would totally believe you. I would not think this is from 2012.
And then you have to realize that 2012 was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's so fucking weird. But they just had its 10th anniversary this month.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, I'm just thinking of what else came out in, like, 2012. Like, the band I always go to for, like, 2011, 2012 was, like, the Kooks for some reason. Like, Junk of the Heart.
And Junk of the Heart was 2010, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
It was 2010.
That album was that era, and so it's like that to me typifies what that is. Or like Pumped Up Kicks was around that time as well, and
yeah,
this sounds not exactly like it's still like a pop band, but they are consistent enough in their style. Now that we've covered 3 other albums throughout this year, where it's like it just sounds more ballpark music. I
think the best part is that we've kind of like. Now, I still think Museum is their best album, so it's going to be a downgrade for me, but I don't know how it's going to be for you two. I'd say we've probably done this in an order where Every Night the Same Dream is probably the least favorite of the 3 that we've done.
I don't know.
And then would you two though say that this is better than their last album, or would you prefer their newer stuff?
I'll let Trix answer first.
I think I prefer this.
Honestly, if I'm
be
thinking
as
about
honest
them,
as you want.
Like, to me, we've covered this band at different times throughout the year, and every time, it's never been like the standout album to me, but they've all been like solid Bs.
Yeah.
Like, good albums, maybe not the best of the week, but like, they've all been consistent, they've all been good. I don't know necessarily which one is better than the other, but I've always enjoyed coming back to them, even if I'm not like, maybe it's not like totally clicked with me yet, even though I like certain songs, right? It's like the King Gizzard thing. If I needed Omnium Gatherum to get me into King Gizzard, maybe a different week where we don't have as much going on, ballpark music, maybe it's the self-title will snap for me, and that'll be the one that makes me fall in love with it.
Well, we've done 3 out of 7 of their albums, and I can tell you safely that 2 of them, which are in between the ones that we have covered, and basically now have kind of also like it's in a weird moment where they are like Museum isn't underrated in their discography, but albums like Puddinghead, Good Mood, and Happiness in Surrounding Suburbs, those are the ones that seem to be the kind of like premier ballpark music one.
Maybe those will be the ones that'll get me.
Yeah. I think their self-titled is better than all of them, but that's also... and it's like, they don't really have an underrated album, by the way, because it's just... they're pretty fucking popular here. I guess the most underrated is Every Night the Same Dream. Sorry, but yeah, that's just kind of the band that they are, and I think it's actually been good that instead of like bringing up Something for Kate, in which that one got a not so enthusiastic response here. It's good that this band is getting a bit more of the love, because I'm probably going to cover their full discography before this podcast ends.
10 years, whenever it ends. Yeah.
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 Good album. I like
good
it.
album. It's good.
Yeah.
Favorites, What's in Your Mind, Fence Sitters, Surrender, Coming Down, Great Display of Patience, Pot of Gold. You would think when I've given this many favorites, I wouldn't have a least favorite. Somewhat have to give it to High Court. It's not that I hate it, because I like it still. It just does take a little while to get to the outro. And not in the good way.
Oh, yeah, I need to listen to this album more. I really enjoyed it.
Fence Sitter's good. I like the Bad Taste Blues parts 1 and 2. Cry with One Eye. Great Display of Patience. I don't know. I never really got into Surrender, though. Maybe that's my least favorite.
Actually, one question I want to do before we go into Petite League.
Yeah.
What's on Your Mind's outro, where it fades out, and then suddenly comes back in?
It's fun.
Thoughts? Good or bad?
I like it.
I'm still not sure how I feel about it, but I don't really judge it as a part of the song.
I like when bands play with sound like that, so I'm generally okay with it.
Yeah.
Point is, but doesn't mean there has to be one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thrill Seekers!
Now it's time to talk about everything Petite League. I guess starting with Thrill Seekers, and we'll kind of expand from there. Because we've got as much as possible. Like, literally, I put a YouTube playlist together at Ritz's request, and then I guess Lorenzo saw that I did that and linked me to an unlisted video of Throw Television playing in 2008 when they were known as Valiant's Electrons.
That's hilarious.
That was one that I did see. I fully admitted to Dominic before this podcast, I didn't get to absolutely everything, because there was a lot.
I didn't either.
This wasn't like 5 pieces of music. This was like 20 pieces of music, and then Tumblr posts of just like random recordings, and then that one really weird one, which was like a Skype call or some shit, it felt like. And then just screaming happening, and I was like, okay, mate, I don't know if I really want to go back to Lorenzo's scene days.
And I know some of it's going to be cringe for him and everything, and I get that. I just think it's fascinating to dive into, is like, this stuff exists. You can just go find it.
Yeah.
It's nice that we have an unguarded look at somebody, for somebody who has tried to kind of curate his image now.
Heavy Nardwuar vibes I'm getting off you as of right now. I'm not gonna lie.
I can see that.
Like, I'm expecting you next time we talk to Lorenzo, bring up like one of his high school teachers' names or something.
No, what I'll probably do is
drop the last 5 digits of his social.
I'll probably bring up the band Hatari, the Icelandic band that played in Eurovision, because one of the people from Throw Television's in that.
All right.
And the I linked the one behind the scenes of Throw Television videos because the other guy from Hatari made an appearance in that video, and I thought that was really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Like, years before, because it's like, if you look at Throw Television, you got the one path that's like Petite League, and the other path that's like, oh, this Icelandic band that's gotten national acclaim and like global recognition.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that stuff is really fun. But
it definitely is.
Let's start with Thrill Seekers, I guess, because that's the modern, and we'll kind of go back in time then.
Yeah, so obviously the big thing about Thrill Seekers is that we interviewed Lorenzo.
And this is the 6th album. This is getting deep into it now. And
I'll put on that I still think, even with this album, that the second half of Petite League's discography so far, just as Petite League in the albums, that's all I'm making, I think the second half so far has been a lot better than the first half. I think the first half has some highlights from it. I think Annie, Not Always Happy, Surviving October, and Shin Bruise are highlights. But then when actually going into the full albums and listening, I find, it's not bad, but they're not as interesting personally. Mm-hmm. And Thrill Seekers, to me, I was hoping going into this album that it would be fighting with Joe Rider, for which one I think is the better better Petite League album, but instead it's fighting with Rattler.
That's fair. I can see that.
Yeah.
My Rattler is still probably my least favorite, but I think this is like Thrill Seekers is a solid number 2 in their discography so far.
I think if this was released as obviously there's talks in the interview about B-sides potentially coming out at some point. I think if this was released as B-sides, I would believe it, and I'd probably appreciate this album more because it feels like it feels more like a compilation than it does an album because there's all these different styles of Petite League that's tried in here,
Which
and
I
not
like.
always do they feel like it's an evolution. It's not that's a bad thing, but it feels like it's
not an evolution.
Different eras tried again.
Yeah,
it feels like different eras are being tried again.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, there were still some good moments on here. I was surprised by some of the non-singles on here as well. I think Hurricane Shimmy needs to go a lot fucking longer, and that's a compliment because it's really good. It's one of my it potentially going to be top 2 on this album for me.
I feel that way about New York 2002.
Yeah, New York 2000. New York 2002 feels like a weaker Hurricane Shimmy to me. I'm not gonna lie. And then I think Sleep Talker is one of the kind of more emotional sounding on the instrumentations there as well when the chorus comes in, and that's another one that also feels like it's a bit demo-y, but it feels like a good way. Floating Blue was the first single off here, and it's still my least favorite.
It is one of the weaker off the album.
I think Pantone Karaoke's like the problem is I think Floating Blue and Pantone Karaoke work well as by themselves.
Yes,
especially Pantone Karaoke is just placed just wrong. The placement's just wrong.
I think I think Pantone Karaoke and Night Stairs, if you removed those, you'd have better momentum from Metz into New York 2002, and you wouldn't feel as jarring.
So what I would propose though is keep both of those. But after Metz, just put on Bad for Fun.
See, I agree with Bad for Fun. I think Bad for Fun should have been on this album more than Floating Blue should have been. And I do agree with, I will say quickly, I will agree with Trix's comment about the momentum with Pantone Karaoke and Night Stairs. But having said that, Night Stairs is my favorite of this album.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
Like I think it's just a question of pacing. Like I can accept wanting to slow down and kind of change directions a little bit, but Metz whips it up into such a nice fervor that you need a little bit more of that, I feel like, before you want to let go and to kind of settle down. Having Bad for Fun kind of be that bridging track of like, let's keep it going, let's keep partying, and then let's go to the bar, relax. Yeah, I think that would fit really well. But I don't understand this. Like I know that Lorenzo kind of talked about, he kind of did Pantone Karaoke and then like Floating Blue. They were kind of first, and they were the ones that were done, and then he kind of worked on it as he went.
Yeah.
So I get that's probably why they were as singles, but I feel like they're not really well representative of what the album became.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's a thing of you've got the songs, so you've got to put out an album.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this album is. And, we just got to criticize the one person we've interviewed in here so they never come back again. But we got to do what you got to do. And, that's what I say. Like, there's some good songs in here. I still think there's some weak moments. I mean, Dagger Eyes, I thought was actually pretty mediocre. I like Dagger Eyes. I feel like that kind of second song that comes in, it's the bit harder kind of like a rock tune that the second song usually is. You had that with New York Girls. You have that with St. Michael. You had that with Shin Bruise. I thought all those a lot better. Surviving October as well. I thought those were all done a lot better than Dagger Eyes was.
Surviving October was the first Petite League song, I'm pretty sure, if I did my research correctly.
Potentially, I'm not too.
I think that was something I was on the Tumblr as I was looking through it.
Might have been something that I missed out on.
It wasn't like linked. I think he was just talking about it at some point.
I mean, there are songs in here which I'm not so into as well, but I at least do respect what's going on in there. Like Vacation Torture is not one of my favorites. I will admit, but I do respect what the instrumentation is trying to do, even if I think it's a bit cluttered in the wrong way. Like I assume Trix, you've listened to Vacation Torture and just went, "Holy shit, that bass line."
I'm going to be honest, when I listen to Vacation Torture, my brain just kind of shuts off. That's probably my least favorite off the album.
I'm surprised. That was the one with the complex, the more complex bass line.
It wasn't that complex compared to like I prefer some of like the more melodic stuff in the earlier songs.
Complex doesn't always mean best written.
Yeah, like Mets had great bass, Hurricane Shimmy had great bass. Dyslexic poetry. I really like dyslexic poetry.
That felt like a more personal moment too.
Yeah.
This is the first Petite League album, sorry, to have a collaboration since No Hitter as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
With Patience, with Sorry Mum, which is a they were a bit of Riot Girl punk, weren't they?
Yeah, like a queer punk band in New York, which is cool.
Very.
And Disarray is notable because it's the first one that I believe was composed with all the band members kind of working together.
Yes.
Because usually Lorenzo does most of it and Henry's on drums, but
yeah,
I appreciate that he took the time to mention that Adam and Kevin are producers, but also did guitar and bass on Disarray specifically. Mm-hmm. That being said, I really could not help but like listen to this album and think about a lot of different things. I think the thought that came most of all was that I feel like whatever he does next is going to be a big swing.
Yeah.
Like this feels like the 6th album, and it's like you've done the thing. You've really accomplished what you wanted to do as the band. Whatever you do next, I think has to be big.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that means like a big concept album, whether that's completely composing as a full band instead of just Lorenzo doing everything, or if that's going into like a new direction, a new name, or whatever the case may be. I just feel like this is the point of like, you have this, and then there's going to be a big right turn somewhere.
Yeah.
Because like, how
Surprise shock for Petite League. After releasing 6 albums, Lorenzo now announces that he is going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
I'd be down.
On the topic of the other band members, I'm pretty sure, I think it was Adam, the bass player, wrote the guitar part for Infinite Fields on Rattler.
Okay. That's
so
good.
they have collabed like that before in the past. So
that was long. I don't even remember that. But yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
No problem.
The other thing I wanted to say with that is like, I just think they're just not that parts are getting tired for me at all, but I just think there are parts that's like, especially having dug deep now and kind of seeing the whole of Lorenzo's career at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Does he really need the filter every time?
It's kind of his signature because it goes back.
It does, but
I agree in you in a way. I don't think it's every time. I think there is a part where the filter does stand out a bit more. It is a bit of a Petite League calling card, if you will.
I do agree with that. And that's why I'm not saying I'm tired of it. But
like
he has a good natural voice.
Poetry in particular.
I think that, you know, what stands out to me is like the chorus of like Dagger Eyes. Like I feel it there, and I think it works really well there.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think he's such a good natural singer on his own that he can kind of let go of it a little bit and do his own thing. Like I think Petite League is such a like a curated image, right? That he wants it to be a specific way, but I feel like his total artistic prowess is beyond what Petite League is still.
Yeah.
And I would love if he embraced more of those edge pieces still.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
Because like it's a really good album.
It's a really good compilation, and that's like the compliment I can give. And I still wanted more from this record, and that's the biggest disappointment, is that it's not that this album is bad. We'll see how I rank it when it comes to doing my top 20. I cannot give any promises to where this lands, in or out. It's definitely not gunning for the top spot like Joyride was last year.
Right. And
so maybe that's why it is a bit more disappointment. Maybe it was seeing what they could do last year, and it wasn't just okay, now I see the potential. It was okay, I really fucking love this album kind of thing. So I'm personally a little bit disappointed by this album as an album, but that being said, there is definitely still some of the best Petite League songs on here when we judge it just as a bunch of songs. And you are right, whatever happens from here has to be, you're practically now choosing. You know that meme where there's like 9 different albums, and when someone turns 17, they decide to base their personality on that album?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, their 7th album is going to be based off one of these songs.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what changes here is that, you know, as he talked about in the interview, this isn't the tight 10 song track list where it feels complete and there's closure and there's a rhythm to it that you get used to listening from album to album. And this is the first time where you kind of like let go a bit and kind of experimented and did other stuff and wrote a bunch of songs and picked the best ones and tried to do it that way. So in that way, he is evolving and changing still. I just think whatever is after that, I don't want to like call his shots for him or anything like that, or demand that this is what he has to do or something like that. But I just get the overwhelming feeling that like this is like the album that is going to be in between like Joyrider, which people will consider his best, and then like his biggest swing after that.
Bold prediction.
Because like for the first time, I was thinking of like other bands that I've never associated with Petite League before, like Mets, and it's kind of like, I think it's like a Mellotron they have going on there in parts of that.
Probably not a real Mellotron, but some sort of plugin that sounds like a Mellotron.
But I was reminded of like early of Montreal, of like where Montreal had like a bunch of albums, and then Kevin started really going for the big swings, and that's when the sound changed. And how there's just something about it where it's like, okay, I'm starting to place Lorenzo into like comparison to other musicians favorably, I guess. And it's kind of seeing where the career is going.
You want to see Lorenzo become kind of the next Kevin Barnes.
I'm not saying that necessarily.
You're implying it.
Implying it. A little less crazy than. Lorenzo, please don't go for the divorce phase. That was not a good era of Montreal. It was kind of boring.
But
do you do the psychedelic country kick though? Because
I mean, the cowboy thing on Rattler is something that has to be remembered as well. But but I think there is some, like, I would love to see an album that's just like every song is like an inning of a baseball game.
Yeah, one of the songs on this album referenced Out Cowboy. I forget which one. Just it referenced Cowboys again with the line Asphalt Cowboy.
Oh yeah. I like this album. I think it'll probably be remembered as like a good one, but not the best one.
Yeah.
It might even be a little underrated as a result because it's not Joyrider. It's not the one with all the big hits like Annie.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like the really solid one you come across. It's like, yeah, this one was good too. And then he did something else. But do we want to do least favorites and favorites here? Or do we want to go more into discussion of?
We'll do favorites. We'll do favorites, and we'll go into a bit of discussion and wrap up the episode. Favorites: Hurricane Shimmy. As a song, Pantone Karaoke is fine. Bloody Knuckles is a good opener. Night Stairs is my favorite. Least favorite: either Vacation Torture or most likely Floating Blue.
Favorites for me, I'm gonna say Bloody Knuckles, New York 2002, and Dyslexic Poetry. Least favorite is Vacation Torture, and that's not even like a bad least favorite. It's just could take it or leave it.
My favorites are Mets and Disarray. My least favorite's Vacation Torture. Now, I think it's really interesting to have this and then be able to go back into like everything else just to see the evolution. And I know not everyone listened to everything, and that's totally fine. I went overboard. I know that. And
well, you say evolution, but not everything here is an evolution because some of the shit is very, very recent. I mean, you talked about the in there. You had the Defang single, which was the kind of near like punk rock, kind of like heavy punk, or whatever you want to describe it. Single, No Mask, that was released 2020 or something.
Yeah,
that fucking goes hard. I love that song.
It does.
I wish there was more of that.
But then, you had posted like the unlisted link, which no one gets to see. Of practically the debut Fro Television performance. Which was at like some high school or something like that. They look like, I swear one of them was wearing a bloody fedora.
That was like late middle school, early high school. That was like 2008.
Yeah. So it's a very, what is it? ISB Rock Show 2008.
Yeah.
Song for sale on iTunes now and it's a MySpace link. And that's 437 views or something it has, and a couple of that is now us.
Yes.
So it's one of those very like very old, just there for the sake of it. And this is also why I started to get a bit burnt out and feeling uncomfortable. This very quickly didn't turn into a backstory of the band in a kind of way. This kind of started like going into like a diary of the man, basically, in a different type of way. Like same reason people said that the Mount Eerie album was hard to listen to because they felt they were invading someone's personal space, which I didn't think that was the case, because I thought, this is a public album that they're happy to release and happy for everyone to listen to. But when we start going to, I mean, yes, they've shared it, so obviously it's not the case here as well. But it feels like we're prying into quite a lot of like people's internet history, basically, on this, even though it's not really in the same way. And this is all still public shit. But we're basically going through a kid who's basically that's not learning. They're basically talented from the get go here, but they're learning what works with their sound and what doesn't and stuff like that. And it is a time capsule at times, and sometimes it's a bit of a cringy time capsule, like the MySpace. I wanted to try an emo song recording, or was it MySpace? Tumblr was one of them, and that one was just a bit like, yep, okay, please stop. It's not working. Not working.
I thought that was okay. I kind of dug that in a way. I don't know. He's very about to not do emo now, which is kind of funny, but
yeah. And that's what I felt like with the with going into this. And yeah, obviously once you get more into it, there's some cool kind of moments. Like I thought the Build Me Up Buttercup was a pretty funny kind of 50-second I don't know how long the actual thing's supposed to go.
Yeah.
On there. The covers ranged from very high schooly to actual just wanted to get an acoustic guitar out and sing. Like the Kids Don't Stand a Chance cover felt like a high school cover, whilst Ode to Viceroy felt kind of just like just bored with an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Like go woo some chicks kind of thing.
Yeah.
That Ode to Viceroy cover wasn't very good.
That's probably my least favorite cover of the covers that are here. I think that Lust for Life cover is really fun. Like, there's something about Lorenzo's style in the Spark Alaska days that I think is really, like, it's basic, but it's really like a signature as well. Like I could easily pick it out, I feel like.
Yeah.
Something with the way he has the guitar tune and the way his voice is that just works really well. That is identifiable.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big thing to talk about is what is actually kind of what I'm treating this as is a throw television type of conversation. And throw television, you might think back in the day of like of late noughties, early 10s, Tumblr scene. You might get a bunch of like emo, more adjacent stuff or pop, but they are just straight up indie rock.
Yeah.
That's what they are, and it's not like that's unheard of in the scene as well, or for scene kids as well. Which that's what they are. They're a bunch of fucking scene kids. You can see it from the hair, you can see it from the clothing. It's all that, and I'm not actually critiquing the stuff, but it's what I mean when it's a time capsule.
Yeah.
But you listen back, and it's like, does this stuff sound like it's from the 10s? Yes. Yeah, it absolutely fucking does.
Yeah, and
it's really hard to comment on anything else. It's like, is the stuff fine? Yeah, it is, but it's also just everything else that was around the time. And that's what young bands basically are. They are, all right, we want to start doing what everyone else is doing, and maybe we'll be successful. And then you realize after a while that none of you actually want to be making that music, and you all go off to do your own things, which is why we have Petite League.
I think a lot of like the throw television stuff, for what I was able to get, like, because the EP that survives on like Bandcamp is not even the full EP. There's a song that's missing, but it's not like it's totally memorable stuff. It's fine. It works, but it's not like I think it's a display of talent. It's a display of like potential more than anything, and it's nice that it exists for that. Like I think like there was like the one unfinished instrumental that I found. There was like some parts on like I think it was like maybe 18 the studio version where it's like this instrumentation actually sounds pretty decent. Like they could do something with this. You know
what I'm going to challenge you to do, Dominic?
Yeah. What?
I want you to make the unofficial bootleg mixtape.
What do you mean?
You know how you see on like Neutral Milk Hotel will always have like those B-sides and stuff before they officially get released. You see like a whole YouTube fake albums kind of thing like that, where it's a compilation basically of all these B-sides and stuff rearranged to make it sound like it's an album.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want you to do that with all the Tumblr posts and all these covers. Basically, anything that wasn't officially released, so the Furry Television stuff that has been released, you can't do. But all this kind of lost stuff with all the covers and everything like that, I want you to actually make the fucking mixtape.
I'll let him throw. I'll let you throw in Jazz Cigarettes too.
Jazz
Yeah.
Cigarettes is a very funny little thing too.
It is.
Because that's like that's 2013. That's like Spark Alaska territory, but it sounds like early Petite League.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's like, I think that's where he has the filter on and everything too.
Yeah.
Do it, then send over it to just either one of us or even Lorenzo if you want to fuck him, and we'll create the Dissonant Waves bootleg Petite League tape.
Yeah, I would love.
I guess
That'd
it'd
be
be
fun.
I guess it'd be the bootleg Spark Alaska tape, but yeah.
Yeah, because like there's fun stuff to, like and I don't mean for this all to be like an invasion of his privacy, and I'm sorry if it comes off that way. You know, my interest is just the research and kind of, you know, people do this stuff for like bootlegs of bigger bands like the Beatles and stuff like that, and that's fine and handy. And like I just am interested in like understanding how a musician evolves and what their process is like, and I think things like this do a good job at that.
Straight up, if you did this amount of research for Seismic, we wouldn't have even questioned anything about the band.
I think Seismic had less online though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I know. The point is, I'm saying you've done a shit ton of research.
I would have loved to have done something like this for Seismic. That's you know, I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it at all.
No,
I would have.
I'm not saying it either. I'm just saying this is the amount of research you've fucking done here. It's a lot.
Oh,
I'm
not gonna lie, I'm impressed.
I could do a bootleg for sure. Maybe you two can like throw out suggestions for what I should not include, because I think I like some songs more than you two do.
Now I reckon just have full creative control. You obviously don't have to use everything. The Fragile Dads one you can add on there, but everything else, if it's been released, because they don't, as much as the Defang one's probably the best out of all of them.
Yes,
it doesn't fit as much anyway. So
also, did you notice that there was a sample that they were using in the Jazz Cigarettes single that was also the shitpost to Believe in Yourself thing too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking sample, and I thought that was really funny, because it's like, is this Believe in Yourself thing like a weird thing that he just reposted from somewhere? It's like, no, he or someone created this. It's the same fucking sample.
Yep.
Yeah, and like beyond that, just kind of seeing how like what exists on the YouTube page, and how we go from like what Throw Television was doing for like live shows, and then what Spark Alaska was doing for live shows, and then how he kind of went and pioneered his way into doing like music videos for Petite League when it was still early on. Seeing that stuff evolve too, I think is really nice. You know, and now they're doing like full directed music videos for like Pantel Karaoke and Floating Blue and New York Girls and all that.
Yeah.
But you still have the occasional thing like the Annie acoustic version that's really nice.
That was the one that I slowed down completely, and it sounded like Trix. Remember when I did that absolute like shit take that? Lorenzo
you're trying to do a conspiracy theory that Lorenzo sped his voice.
Yeah, and then Annie's like acoustic actually sounded better, slowed down.
Yeah,
but I really like seeing stuff like I really like having this kind of comprehensive look, because we've covered Petite League for 110 episodes. It started with episode 6. It's 100 episodes. It's episode 116. What else can we do besides just cover the next album? There, you know, like we might as well just be done with it and just wait for what's next.
Yeah,
we could show up outside his house and he will never talk to us again.
I don't want to actually be a creep. I really don't.
I know. Fucking know.
I know.
Yeah.
I just want to make it clear, even if anyone has any question, this is not, you know, this is all purely academic, just my interest in music and musicians, you know, coming from the local band scene where I thought people were genuinely talented and wished they got the recognition they deserved. You know, that's why I kind of did the same thing with Lucas Skoukas.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the research. I will put out a mixtape at some point, perhaps, or at least make one that we can all have for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a band from like Brussels, Throw Television works fine. if you look at like the comments for Throw Television and Spark Alaska, people found it and people dug it.
Yeah.
There are people that wish that these bands and these acts were still around. Like every Spark Alaska video, except for I think O Device, where you usually have people being like, "This is my favorite band when I was a teenager. I love these songs so much." You know, it's really interesting seeing how underground Spark Alaska was, yet how beloved by the people who found it that it was.
Yeah.
And I do think certain songs that he had made that are not like available anymore, like Mid-Fall, work fine.
Absolutely.
Like you have Mid-Fall, and then you have like stuff that yes actually is kind of cringy, like the fucking Walkin' Milkshake Boy Party song, where it's just like a bunch of fucking covers jammed together.
Yeah.
And like that's fun in a shitposty kind of way of like, yeah, okay, then let me see how they can use the Spark Alaska guitar sound to throw together Kellis and fucking 99 Problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had fun researching it at least.
Yeah. Have we got anything else to say, or shall we wrap up this episode?
Well, what did everyone like most from the research stuff, I guess?
Out of all the research stuff, not including Defang, I guess.
You can include the official release stuff as well, I guess. I just want to know what everyone's temperature was in like the other stuff.
Defang's No Mask was the best. I didn't mind the Daniel Johnson cover as well. It just did seem like it was just having a little bit of fun. Least favorite was just going through all the time capsules and just realizing how fucking seen everybody was. Like you posted that picture of the sick tunes.
Oh yeah, Christopher Drew commenting on how good they were.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a compliment if you're that age at that time.
Yeah.
Trix?
Jazz Cigarettes by Fragile Dads was probably my favorite out of all the unreleased stuff.
I mean, technically it is on Bandcamp. You can still buy it.
Yeah, you can still buy it. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah.
I think No Mask by Defang is an absolute banger. If we're talking about everything that, if we're being comprehensive, Bad for Fun is still my favorite Petite League song. I really was intrigued most by the research part of it, just by like the things that Lorenzo was doing to just experiment, like the vocal riffing and the guitar things.
Yeah,
like some of the covers were fun, but just like there's a riff vocal thing that he did where he's just singing nonsense for a minute and a half, and I think about that Heath Ledger line a bit more than I should, I guess. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it's like, oh yeah, it's not meant to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to find a happy medium where it's like I really enjoy the research, but every time I do the research, it's like it gets uncomfortable for you too, or it's like there's just too much of it, or there's like it's just not as interesting as it is to me.
I'm just being honest. I don't want you to stop with the research.
Yeah, the research is fun. We'll try and do more, or like we can start doing like dedicated episodes to Domino conspiracy theory board research.
I think it would be a lot better if we do this in a mini-sode the next time we go for full def and an artist like this.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I would like to do it. I just don't want to like derail everything by doing it again.
Nah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, rankings for the week if we're all good.
Yeah.
I'll start because I'm very, very simple. Least favorite. Who would have guessed it? It's Midnights. Next up on there, it's number 3, which is miles ahead of it, but not actually that miles close to the next two. Is We Will Look Back and Love You Forever's Yabby Time. Number 2 is Petite League Thrill Seekers, and then number 1, because I'm a biased fucker, is Ballpark Music's Museum.
Now I'm going to challenge you to throw in the Throw Television EP because that was a released EP.
For a television EP goes above We Will Look Back and Love You Forever. No, it's around the same.
Okay.
It's around the same. Yeah, it's around the same.
I'm actually going to agree with Ritz, except I'm going to swap Thrill Seekers and Ballpark Music.
Because you're just as biased as I am.
Yes, I am.
I think Harpoons, Moons, and Air Balloons is a fine EP, but I think it still ranks the bottom for me because I think Midnights is a little bit better. There are songs I do remember and like a bit more, even though it's only a couple. but I do want to give props to Throat Television for being cool or doing this and having some kind of recognition. But then after Taylor Swift will be Yabby Time, and then after Yabby Time will be Ballpark Music, and number 1 will be Thrill Seekers. Moral of the story this week is that baseball wins.
Yeah.
Not me. I lost over the weekend.
I mean, this Ballpark Music and Petite League are our 2 most centric baseball bands that we've covered and dedicated time to. So
no, I meant the actual baseball game I played.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go last.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I'll go first. Since I did Thrill Seekers, I had another actual thing I wanted to do last week on top of the Petite League stuff, but I decided to save it for this week because it was only a little thing, but I didn't want to put too much on the plate, even though I already did. My first choice, I would like to also finish covering Raccoon Love, because there's a Raccoon Love EP on Spotify and Apple Music that we've not done yet called Trashy.
Okay.
There's also the B-side from Cassette Runner that you 2 didn't listen to. There's also a couple of those singles, Oh Annie and Kid Rockstar, and then that'll be the entirety of Raccoon Love to this point. On top of that, since that it's a pretty simple EP and handful of songs, I'm also going to do the Trixie Mattel album, the Blonde and Pink albums.
Okay.
So, what was the B-side for Cassette Runner?
B-side.
Where is that?
You had to buy it on Bandcamp, but I have the file. So.
Okay. Cool. And Trixie Mattel, you said?
Yes, the Blonde and Pink albums, which has a feature by Shaky Graves.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Because tonight we are recording this on Halloween. I figure this will be out in a month.
Yeah.
So probably sometime way too late, but we're going to do a more Halloween themed thing, and I'm going to do the
Rob
album
Zombie.
Zam.
Yeah.
By Frankie and the Witch Fingers.
Okay, so this one, I haven't actually heard much of them, but I've heard that they're a pretty fucking good band. So
they are a pretty fucking good band.
So I'm excited to finally actually get into them. And you know what? I am gonna do the new Slide Movers. I am gonna do that, but I also want to know what's the best way that I could shock Dominic mostly here. And that is what I've decided to do here. So first off, yes, we're covering Slide Movers Overgrown, because we still need to cover a lot of 22 and we just need to get to it, so that one's going to be onto there. What do you think is the best way that I can shock you here?
In what way?
Just an album that you wouldn't expect.
The Weezer shit that got put out this year.
Yeah, well, it's not that. Instead, we're gonna do the new Old Montreal. We're gonna do Freeway Loose to fuck.
Yeah. You broke him.
Yep.
All right.
He just did not expect that one, did you?
No, I didn't. I definitely did not.
Yeah, the second that you mentioned Of Montreal, I'm like, wait, they got a new album. They got a new one. And it's only an extra 30 minutes onto it, so why not?
The first time we're doing Of Montreal in the year it came out.
And the first time that...
Indeed.
No, so it's not the first time that you didn't pick it, because Trix has picked one.
Trix has picked Of Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time. Yeah, it's the first time I've picked it.
Of Montreal has now been picked by all 3 of us.
Yes.
I haven't even listened to this album yet, so I don't even know if it's good.
Of Montreal has joined a very exclusive club that includes like King Gizzard and Petite League.
Yeah.
Hey, all you had to do was pick the Courtney Barnett album, and she gets it, Dominic.
That's true. I don't. Maybe one day I will.
Yeah.
I did not expect to cover this album. I will be honest with you.
Until then, I've been Riddlin. You can catch me on my website, riddlinforkids.github.io. I have broke Dominic, so I don't know if there's going to be any description in the below.
I've been Trix. You can catch me on Twitter, procrastinaut_. It's like procrastinating astronaut, then underscore at the end of it. Buy our merch, check out our website, our YouTube channel, all that shit,
Dissonant Waves.space and all that Dissonant Waves on Twitter. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm Dominic. You can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter. I'm on YouTube, Donamachicoki, but there's not really much I post on there. I'm on the Games My Mom Found podcast. We just recorded an episode about Chrono Cross today. Maybe that'll be out by the time this is out. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. What a day. What a day.
He's still in shock.
Like, I
don't think you've been in this amount of shock since I picked Petite League.
I was gonna make a joke that my choice is gonna be very John Waters inspired, but now that we've done Of Montreal, it's very, very John Waters inspired.
We'll catch you on next time.
All right.
Bye, everybody.